Thank you all. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Commissioner Rothstein is out of town, hopefully representing us in a good manner. And as always, I'd like to start with a Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's start with priority Carol with the individuals. Commissioner Vigliotti.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Kyler. I will have quite a few things to get to, but I'll be as quick as humanly possible. I mean, as everybody knows, it's been an incredibly busy beginning to October. So last week I had the honor of joining my good friends and fellow commissioners, Kenny Kyler, Tom Gordon, as well as Delegate Chris Tomlinson at the Carroll County Land Trust, and Delegate Boucher as well, at the Carroll County Land Trust annual dinner to celebrate the amazing farmers who have entered into the county agricultural program. As we consider the land that gets entered into the program up here, we look at any number of factors such as size and location, but the dinner allows us to get to know the people and the personal stories behind those properties as they become a part of the unfolding chapter of history that becomes our county. On a rainy but beautiful Saturday morning, I had the chance to join our awesome state's attorney, Haven Shoemaker, as we participated in the parade for the 200th anniversary of the phenomenal Westminster Fire Department. There you can see both of us getting ready for the parade. As the skies cleared up, I was able to get over to New Windsor for a couple of hours to join them for their incredible annual event, Music on the Main. I was glad to see a number of my good friends there, including Mayor Neil Roop and everyone on the New Windsor City Council, as well as Deputy Kevin McGinnis and Tawnytown Mayor Christopher Miller and the civic-minded young men of Boy Scout Troop 582. Very briefly, I just want to say a word about Deputy McGinnis, who is the designated sheriff's deputy for the New Windsor Union Bridge area. Law enforcement in our county is very much at home among us and our communities, and Deputy McGinnis is no exception. So Saturday, while we were at Music on the Main, he discovered an elderly gentleman who was experiencing some dizziness due to being diabetic. And Deputy McGinnis bought the gentleman a soda with money out of his own pocket and ensured that he was good to go. And so you can say, well, in the grand scheme of things, it's a small act in comparison to some of the things that go on, but it's those small, unknown acts of kindness that end up making a resonating difference in our county and ultimately in the world, and it also demonstrates the caliber of our sheriff's department. So on Sunday, I joined Mayor Christopher Miller in Tawnytown at Thunderhead Bowl for their 45th anniversary celebration, where I said a few words and presented a certificate from the Board of Commissioners. Thunderhead is not only a bowling alley, but an institution in Tawnytown, from hosting the monthly business breakfast, which, by the way, is tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m., but supporting the Chamber of Commerce there as well as community events. And you find with so many of the businesses that we have in our county that they don't just exist in a community, but they're an active part of those communities. Now, earlier this week, I had the exciting opportunity to tour Piney Run Dam and Reservoir with County Department of Planning and Land Management Chris Hine, as well as to visit an active archaeological dig occurring at Piney Run on what was a farm as recently as the 1950s, but which could be dated at least back to the early 1800s. And Commissioner Kyler, I can now add touring an archaeological dig in a forested slope to the list of things that I've done in a tie and jacket.
In a tie.
So following that, Mr. Hine brought me around to a number of the county's water projects, things which not everybody may always notice, but which are crucial to our citizens, their safety, the place that we call home, and the natural world that makes up a part of home. Mr. Hine helped to deepen my understanding of the land and how it changes over time, the technical term being geomorphology, and by extension fluvial geomorphology, which concerns the changing of land due to water, specifically from streams and rivers. So I got to see one of these projects. This one here is Woodside Stormwater Area. And as you know, I always like to give credit where it's due. So if you look at the bottom of this, you can see there's kind of a dark green square within the overall drainage area. And this is an area that's composed of a sand-soil mix that filters the water as it comes down to it. So originally, the plan was that that entire bottom was going to be covered by this soil-sandy mixture. But by depressing that area a little bit more and condensing it and giving the stormwater another area to drain into, Mr. Hine was able to save the county a lot of money by reducing the size of the area that was needed to filter the water. And so I want to make sure to give credit where it's due to anyone who works for the county when they come up with a really good idea. So following that, I went over to to an area that is under construction, and that is the Brynwood Stream Restoration Project, in which the stream bed itself, the banks, are being transformed to accommodate stormwater, protect the environment, and most importantly, to protect the citizens who live on either side of the surrounding area. So later on, actually, what was it? Yeah, Tuesday, right? Tuesday we were at, in the evening, we were at the Farm Bureau Annual Dinner and meeting at Pleasant Valley Fire Hall. Amazing people and amazing purpose and incredible food. And I was joined by my good friends, Commissioner Kyler, Delegate Boucher, and school board members Marcia Herbert and Tara Battaglia. And as I mentioned at the Land Trust dinner last week, while I spoke there, such a huge part of what we know as home in this county is agriculture, and so much so that Carroll County does not exist without farmers and does not exist without farms. Yesterday morning, I had the always enjoyable opportunity to attend the Farm Museum board meeting. And Jane, the next time we have a meeting, we really should take a photo of all of us, because I think it's important that people, that everybody sees who's a part of the board and how invested every member of that board is in our agricultural heritage.
And Commissioner Vigliotti will show the photo.
I will show the photo next week, absolutely. So yesterday I also attended the combined meeting with the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Education, but I'll let my friends speak about that rather than going on at length. And the very last thing I'll say this morning, and I hope I haven't, talked everybody to death or gone too quickly, but I know we have a lot to get through today. I did want to say, I want to let everybody know that my heart and prayers go out to Israel and to the Israelis and to all those innocent people who have suffered at the hands of the terrorist thugs from Hamas who have committed barbaric atrocities over the last several days. I really do pray God to bless Israel and her people and all of those who are innocent who have suffered. And I just want to go on public record here to state that I stand with Israel. And that's all for me this morning, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gordon?
Thank you. Obviously, as Commissioner Vigliotti said, we've had a very busy week. Last Saturday, I too was at the Westminster Parade. Unfortunately, we were farther back from where State's Attorney Shoemaker and Commissioner Vigliotti were. After that, I attended the fire hall and interacted with a number of the firefighters there, as well as we gave a proclamation to Chief Leppert. Got the opportunity to tour the various vehicles they had that day out front in display, but also took a little time to visit the museum that the fire department has. And I would say to anyone that has an interest in both your community and also history to sometimes stop in and take a look at that and see some of the history of the 200 years of Westminster's fire department. After that, I went over and attended Maryland Print House's new ribbon cutting event. That was another event that State's Attorney Shoemaker and I also were at.
He gets around, doesn't he?
We were following each other quite a bit that day. But it was great to see a local business that has obviously grown and enlarged in size and scope, and they're now located out by the airport, and it was great to see all the wonderful things they're doing in the community, and wish them much success. Also wanted to mention very briefly, yesterday, Commissioner Kyler, Commissioner Vigliotti, and I were in attendance at the joint meeting with the Board of Education discussing Blueprint and the various, I guess I would say, potential challenges within where that is heading. A very good, frank, open conversation, and I think it's exceptional that we can all get together and have those conversations, because there are times in various other locales that they don't have those sort of open conversation and dynamics. So definitely appreciated the opportunity for us all to get together and speak on that. I also did want to mention, and I'll get into this more next week unless Commissioner Kyler opts to discuss it this morning. Commissioner Kyler and I were at the chamber breakfast this morning listening to Arbon Basu and some of the insights of his regarding the economy, which is obviously a huge issue for all of us, both locally and nationally. Always entertaining and informative to listen to his thoughts on that. I also did want to mention, we talk a lot up here about various organizations and businesses and news media specifically, but for those of you that haven't or maybe did just get it, the New Carroll magazine is out. There's a number of our staff that are quoted on a variety of different articles inside. Also some interesting thoughts on ag and technology and housing in the community. So definitely something, if you have the opportunity, I would recommend taking a look at it. And that is all I have this morning. Thank you.
Commissioner Garin.
Sure. Thank you. Good morning, Carroll County. I don't have any actually prepared statements this morning, but I wanted to just take 1 minute to mention what occurred in Israel over the weekend. Unspeakable what occurred, difficult to comprehend, but it is a reminder that evil does exist in the world. It's always going to be there. After I was no longer on active duty when 9/11 occurred, but I was one of the lucky ones because when 9/11 happened, I was in a position to aid and to be a part of what the counterterrorism operations that occurred. And since 9/11, it's been over 20 years, but we use this term never forget, and I think it's important, but at the same time, it's important to never forget that evil does exist. It's worldwide, and we can only hope that as we aid our allies and our friends overseas, we're also remaining cognizant and diligent of our own safety here in the United States, and that's important for people to remember. So it has obviously been a tough week for anybody with a TV set. In ways that none of us could have ever possibly imagined. And those things, unfortunately, do go on in the world, probably every day, but I don't think any of us have seen anything like that. So I echo my fellow commissioners in saying that we certainly stand with Israel. We stand for good. We do our best we can up here, but it's important to recognize that that is a fight that really is never going to end if we're going to stay vigilant and make sure we're protecting ourselves and also doing the right thing overseas. So, yeah, that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. I have a few things and a couple extra things, and I'll run through it fairly quickly. I also attended Carroll County Land Trust dinner, and great evening. We had the opportunity a couple of times this week to be with the agricultural community of Carroll County, and I love Carroll County. I love the ag community, the businesses, the people, and it's just so great to get to see everybody. We saw 8 or 9 new farmers who had put their property in, and it was a great evening. We met with the state comptroller here, walked through Ellsworth Cemetery, met here in the building. They then met Westminster and toured some of the businesses in Westminster. And we're blessed this year, I think. We seem to be getting a lot of activity from Annapolis, and it was so great to see her stop by. She's quite sharp and making some changes that will be positive for us in the state. On Saturday, I missed, and I apologize, I missed Westminster Fire Company. I missed Maryland Print House. I took my grandson to the Orioles' first game. We got there when the gates opened. We waited through the hour and 15-minute rain delay, and they've had some great games. They've had a great season, over 100 wins. I'm sure they're a young team, and they've had a lot of fun this year, and they've had a lot of success. And I've got to think the last 3 games are going to stick in their craw until next year and hopefully make a big difference. And it's a lot to be said about, and I don't care whether it's the local teams here, when you don't make it to postseason, you don't know what it's like. They have that experience behind them, so hopefully that's positive for us. My lovely wife Rhonda did attend Maryland Print House in my absence, and a great ceremony there, and great young company. Again, it's to me, it's so typical of Carroll County. I think a couple of them chose not to immediately go away to college. They wanted to start a business, and they've been successful, and it's awesome. I got to meet MDOT's district engineer, Andrew Ratcliffe here, District 7, which covers Frederick, Howard, and Carroll County, and we had a great talk. And I want to let everybody know, and sometimes we don't have patience, but they did hear the community on 91 and 140 on that intersection. They did hear them. They're willing to make some changes, and while it's government at its best, they're going to do some traffic studies and accident studies, et cetera, and I just emphasize, you heard a lot of people in Finksburg Library that drive through that intersection every day. Don't let some study override what they told you. So, and I think that's where they're coming from. Met with BGE to discuss their plans for replacement of an overhead transmission line to underground. They've been meeting for probably a year. They met Commissioner Weaver about a year ago, and again, it's nice to hear, and Commissioner Gordon was there with me, but they truly listened to what the meeting said, and they've moved some of the line from, they had the line running underground through some prime ag land, and there's lots of other places they could run it. Maybe it's going to cost a little more, but again, my humble opinion, in Carroll County, you don't destroy ag land, and I think they listened. I think they heard it. Now, it's probably not going to be constructed for 3 more years, and it'll probably take 2 or 3 years, so we won't see it. But they did promise there's going to be community meetings and communication, so everybody knows what's going on. So that was positive. Carroll County Farm Bureau dinner, that was awesome, and it's also their annual meeting. That was great. The Board of Education joint meeting, we had a good meeting. They put out a lot of information. I think everybody has to understand Blueprint from the Kirwan Commission was great in theory, and I said during the process of them meeting, I'm sure Dr. Kirwan knows more about education than I'll ever learn. I hope he has a good financial manager, because he doesn't know a whole lot about money. And I don't know if we can afford it, and they also didn't. It was great in theory, but implementing it and paying for it are going to be tough. So I hope people understand what they're going through, and it's easy to lose patience with them, but it's a tough process, and they did get approved by AIB with their first submission. No money was withheld. Again, that's a I don't want to say too much about this, but my heart's there. One of the things the Kirwan Commission decided, if you don't do something right, they're going to take money from you. So there was a county, not us, isn't quite where they should be with paying their educators. So they waived it for this year, but in theory, I'm going to go to them and say, I don't have enough money to pay my educators, and they go, well, we're going to take 25 more million, that'll help you. And I just don't understand that logic, but that's what they're dealing with. Last night I attended Hammer and Ales at Pub Dog Brewing Company, which was for Habitat for Humanity. They've got a great project going on in Tawnytown, and they're looking for more land and more projects and more things to do. Again, a great group, and Pub Dog does have good beer. It was great conversation. And again, the Chamber of Commerce this morning, he is awesome. This morning was, and maybe you can share when you're up here, but it will be on TV, because I know a lot of people haven't seen him and don't have the opportunity to maybe go to breakfast this morning, but it will be on TV. I think he's a great economic mind, but he's also somewhat of a comedian. I've seen him do James Bond, whatever. This was Tom Cruise, and I won't ruin it for you if you're going to watch it, but it's funny how he slides that in and out of the economics. Israel, some of you guys have already mentioned, and yes, I fully support what they're doing, and it's horrible. Any devastation on both sides. I'm a firm believer, whether it's one-on-one or countries, you try to avoid a fight. If somebody else picks the fight and picks the venue, you finish the fight for them. And I hope that's what they do. And I hope they do it with the least devastation as possible. Fortunately or unfortunately, I know a guy currently visiting Jerusalem, and it's hard to even talk to him because he'll say, I got to go, we got to go into a shelter. And then I also know some families that lived in Gaza, and when you hear them talk about what's there and going on, it's even more heartbreaking. Now well, first off, some good news. Delegate Chris Tomlinson, who's the delegate for most of Carroll County, he got married. He married Molly. Molly was expecting, and on last Friday, October 6th at 5:37 p.m., Molly delivered a healthy baby girl. Abigail June Tomlinson was born at Carroll County Hospital, and they're home and healthy. And I just want to warn Chris, life probably briefly changed for him, and two things. One, with a baby in the house, and one, he's now in the minority with two ladies running his life. So good luck, Chris. On a more somber note, but still a great person I want to talk about. Many of you probably know Charles Wheatley III, who was a delegate, an attorney locally, delegate for Baltimore City, attorney statewide, doing a lot of stuff, very, very active with veterans. There's his photo when he was a delegate. Very active with veterans. He was involved in a veteran getting a car recently. He's just done so much for the community, so much for the state of Maryland. You can Google it, Yahoo it, whatever you do, and see all the stuff. I'm not going to sit here because I'd probably be a half hour talking about all his accomplishments. But he has some health issues. He's currently at City of Hope in California, and hopefully he can come back a winner, but it's tough. And I just wanted to show some support for him and all he's done for Carroll County and kind of let people know what's going on. So thank you very much. And we have a proclamation for National Community Media Day. And if anybody here for it wants to come up
We
and
do. Mr. Turner?
Mr. Garin?
Yep. Thanks for joining us.
I also have
Morning, everybody.
our chair and the vice chair, Aaron Watley. Dr. Aaron Watley is our vice chair, and Teresa Bethune is our chair of our
Okay,
board.
well, good morning to all three of you. Thank you for being here, and I've got the pleasure of reading a proclamation this morning for Community Media Day, and it is great seeing you again, Mr. Turner. Thanks for being here. Community Media Day, October 20th, 2023, and it's worth noting that one of the reasons we've got a lot of these this morning is because we are not in open session next Thursday. People just need to be aware of that. So if you show up here to listen to us talk and talk and talk, you'll be quite lonely. So
We're ahead of time.
That's a great way of putting it. We're actually trying to plan ahead for once. It is Community Media Day on October 20th, but we're going to celebrate it from now until then. So the sharing of ideas and information helps to build common understanding and common values within a community. Access to information in today's media environment is critical for the healthy functioning of our community. And community and media organizations provide information to the community that is not covered by mainstream commercial media. Community media is an important resource for participating in local democratic policy and processes and connects community organizations, schools, and local governments to their constituents, and communities benefit from increased general awareness. of viewing audiences for and the creators of media content created by and for the community. The Community Media Center, our Community Media Center of Carroll County, plays a vital role in the building of our community by encouraging conversations about our common interests, increasing discourse around policy issues, fostering understanding of local cultures, celebrating our community, and sharing information to improve our lives. Therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 20th, 2023 as Community Media Day. And again, thanks very much for being here, Mr. Turner.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. We really appreciate this recognition. It's an important one, I think, in terms of what we've experienced, in terms of the importance of knowing what's going on in our community and celebrating that community. So you mentioned this morning's meeting of the Chamber of Commerce. We were fortunate to be able to record this morning session. Will be out on our channel sometime this week, because it is a great opportunity to really understand some of the economic metrics. I didn't pay enough attention in micro and macro economics, and I get a lesson every time I'm at one of these sessions that is, as you mentioned, informative and entertaining. So it's a great opportunity. But his focus is not just what's happening on our national policy, but also on local, what's happening in Carroll County. And so in that regard, it's very informative. And it's just one of the examples of the kinds of programming that we can generate with the kind of support that we get by utilizing franchise fees from cable subscriptions. We're concerned about the increasing demise of cable television revenues and finding unique ways that we can diversify our revenues so that we can expand our services, covering more of local governments, what happens in our municipalities and towns, as well as some of the great programming, and of course, more recently, our investment in sports and being able to show what happens on the field and how we celebrate in Carroll County. I don't know, Teresa, do you want to?
I just want to thank you for your past and present support, and as we continue to face the challenges of declining revenues from franchise fees, look for hopefully more support, or not just from you, but from the rest of the county, because the role the community media plays is really vital. We don't have a lot of local news anymore. There's a lot of gaps around being able to tell the story of Carroll County and all of its people, and how that brings us together. And we feel very strongly that the Community Media Center is that hub to bring all of that together and help make us a better community. So, we thank you for your ongoing support.
Thank you, and I have one question, if, don't throw anything. I don't have Comcast, so I can't watch that channel. Can I go to the internet? Can I stream it? How can I see it if I'm a county resident that doesn't have Comcast?
Absolutely great question, and the answer is yes. We don't just send our programming out on Comcast. We also send it out on YouTube, Facebook, and have that available as links on our website, which is carrollmediacenter.org. The challenges there, of course, is that we only get revenues from the cable subscriptions. We don't get any revenues from YouTube or from Facebook. And even though Comcast collects a sports fee and assesses it on their subscribers, we don't get any share of that for any of our sports programming development. So the reality is that, yes, we make that available to make sure that all of the residents that don't have cable in our county are able to receive our programming.
Thank you. Anything else?
Ms. Bethune, anything? No? Okay.
Dr. Watley?
Thank you.
Oh. Well,
I didn't have prepared remarks.
since you didn't say a lot, we're going to make you pose for a picture.
Picture, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Thank you. Now, I've got a question for you. We do Priority Trail. Can you, tell these guys how we can tone down the amount we say?
Thank you.
Can you do one more? Somebody pointed.
Take that off. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Economic Development Week proclamation.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning. So this proclamation is for Economic Development Week, which will be October 23rd to the 27th. Whereas Carroll County Department of Economic Development is an active member of the Maryland Economic Development Association, MEDA, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to enhance the knowledge and skills of its members, encouraging partnerships among people committed to bringing jobs and capital to Maryland, and promote economic development as an investment in Maryland. And the economic growth and stability of the state affect all regions and jurisdictions of Maryland and Carroll County is an important component of the state's economic success. And Carroll County economic development promotes business attraction, retention, and expansion, including agriculture and small business development, tourism, and workforce development for our businesses and citizens. And economic development leads to job creation, increased tax revenue, improved infrastructure, and adds to the quality of life in our community. And we value the 4,614 firms that call Carroll County home, along with the 96,000 workers that contribute to our local and regional economies. And Carroll County remains committed to its agricultural roots and is home to 1,174 farms with 146,778 acres farmed in a total market value of more than $100 million, and is home to a diverse agricultural landscape, including commodity farming, dairy and beef, nursery farming, alcohol production, and more. And Carroll County Workforce Development is dedicated to employment and training with 6,552 citizen engagements and over 260 businesses served annually, and is recognized as a champion of manufacturing by the Regional Manufacturing Institute of Maryland for its responsive welding training program. And Carroll County Tourism adds significant dollars to the local economy, with sales topping $131 million, and features the award-winning Carroll County Barn Quilt Trail, the Carroll County Farm Museum as a unique educational event and wedding destination. And we celebrate Carroll County economic development's success over the last 2 years, including $153 million of commercial and industrial investment and expansion of 398,000 square feet. And Carroll County is continually working with developers and property owners to showcase and develop additional commercial industrial property investment. And Carroll County boasts a thriving manufacturing sector that ranges from value-added agriculture to defense and food manufacturing, that will host the MEDA Fall Conference, highlighting local and statewide innovations in manufacturing, October 25th at 1844 Antrim Hotel and Conference Center. And now we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of October 23rd to 27, 2023 as Economic Development Week in Carroll County, Maryland, and ask all who join with us to welcome our guests and visitors during the MEDA conference, and also to recognize and reaffirm the importance of economic development locally and statewide.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for taking the time to do this proclamation. It's the first time we've done it, I think maybe ever. And I think it's important to recognize economic development, the work that we do and all the partners do, and really the investment of time that you do, all of the visits that you've done to the businesses and celebrating their open houses and ribbon cuttings and expansions. And we're very thankful for that. The time and also the investment of the funding for us. We realize that economic development is very important to the fiscal health of the county. You know, we help to bring in the tax revenues for the bottom line, and also contribute to the quality of life that's here. And that everybody talks about the quality of life. And we all love Carroll County. I mean, many of us live here and obviously work here, and we love Carroll County just as much as you, Commissioner Kyler. So with regard to business development, Paige Sunderland is here. She's our business development manager, and so we thank you for the attraction projects that you support, all of the expansion projects that you support. And we also have Heather Powell here, who's the manager of our Workforce Center, and we thank you for the investment in that. We are a partner in Blueprint, and so we're participating with Carroll County Public Schools and Carroll Community College with the career readiness component of Blueprint, and so that's up and running, and we're really excited about that. We thank you for that ongoing investment in workforce, because that is the number one request for businesses, is help us with our workforce in terms of recruitment and training. And as Heather will tell you, and I think has told you previously, we're looking to the youth as the primary supplier of all of that talent for our businesses. So we thank you for that. Also, thank you for the investment in the Carroll County Farm Museum and tourism. Obviously, that's an important component of our tourism efforts, and it's a jewel, it's a showcase. We host a lot of events there. Many of you have been to events there. So we do have future project land development projects that you saw, current business expansions, and we're really excited to be hosting the Maryland Economic Development Association's Innovation and Manufacturing Conference, Fall Conference. It's the first time that they've come to Carroll County. They'll be up at Tawnytown at Antrim, 1844, on October 25th, and so we're very excited to host them. Sue Chambers, president of Strauss, will be one of the speakers, as well as Secretary of Agriculture, Kevin Addix. So we're very excited to have that. We also have another star in our midst. Diana Hare-Jones is here, and we wanted to have a magazine for you. It is, I'm probably going to get the name wrong, but it used to be called Be What I Want to Be, but it basically features different professionals in their careers, young people, and talks to them about how did they get in their careers. And so Diana is featured in this magazine that will be distributed to all of the high school students this year. We will get that to you as soon as it comes into our office. It's a really nice article about what an ag development specialist does. And so, again, with our agricultural heritage, that's a really important component. So we do appreciate, all the work that she does with the ag community, and certainly want to continue that. So again, just thank you for taking this opportunity to recognize our team. We have, Bonnie Staub and Jane Sewell here, and many of our team members from the Workforce Center, Scott and Stan and Tammy. We've got Brian and Diana and Elisa from our office. So we're all here to continue the good work of economic development.
Well, it sounds like for this group photo, they'd all better be in the front, and we'd better stand in the back.
Probably. Yeah.
We have a crew, so.
We brought
yes.
everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you two want to say anything.
No, we
Just-
appreciate your support. Thank you.
Absolutely, and your support as we move forward in Blueprint. My team is really excited. As Denise said, this is the future. This is our talent pipeline, and it's worth the investment, so we're happy to be there.
Well, one of the many things I love about Carroll County is how we all work together, and I think it's noticeable to some of the other school districts. You guys worked together before Blueprint made you, and also you used to be multi-county. You're now just this county. Some of the ones that aren't just county, and some of the ones that haven't, have really struggled to make this happen. So I want to thank you. I don't want to make any of this about Jack. We've mentioned him in here before, but you very quickly lost your director. I want to thank you guys, the whole team.
Yep.
You've made it pretty much seamless. We all miss him, but it's all. I just thought, well, I'll say it, but you know me. I used to always tell people at different jobs, one monkey doesn't stop a circus. Now, he was a very, very important monkey, but you guys moved on, and I really appreciate that. I know, I'm sorry.
We
I
do
don't
miss
mean to
him,
be
and we
disrespectful.
understand, yes.
Yes.
Paige-
He was a gorilla.
He was a gorilla, yeah. And Paige and I worked with him for 20, 30 years, so yeah, obviously we do miss him. I think each of us has his little picture in our office, and, we think about him every day. And much of the success, obviously, that we've had over the years has been due to him. I mean, we've been there supporting and, doing what we do, behind the scenes, but yes, very much so, I think. And we plan to carry on the success of economic development in
Thank you
Carroll
for
County.
that. Commissioners, anything else?
I just would follow up and say I appreciate everybody from Economic Development coming out today. I mean, to Commissioner Kyler's point, it takes all of you collaboratively, and I know not all of you sometime or maybe is visually seen in a community, but, we really do appreciate everything all of you do for the county as a whole, as well as the department. You did mention the youth talent comment, which I thought was a good point. And I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but when Random House opened in Carroll County, Bennett Cerf, when he gave that speech, he specifically pointed to the youth and the talent pool relating to the education in Carroll County. So it just goes to show that we still have that dynamic working in our community. And I just really appreciate everything all of you are doing, both behind the scenes and publicly. It's appreciated and it's noticed.
Thank you.
And I do want to mention, I did forget to mention, Darren Payton is here. He's our other partner, Maryland Small Business Development Center, and he also has office hours in our office and is a critical partner. He helped plan Leadership Carroll program on Tuesday that I went to speak at, and I pointed to him and I'm like, he's our small business guy, so anybody who has small business concerns, we rely on Darren to help with the counseling and training and education.
Well, let's get him up here for the picture, too.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Thanks.
And as you bring your team up for a picture, I just want to remind everyone, we've been invited to tour all the pieces of this department.
Yes.
I've done some, but not all, and I just encourage everybody to take their offer and come see what they do every day.
Probably, yeah.
So do we want to stay up here?
Yeah, we'll stay here.
I think we probably do. Somebody's, that's your chair.
Some of them might have to come up here.
We can bring people around back if we need to.
Are we good?
No, yeah, I think.
Got you.
He's got us.
Whoops.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll still be a pain.
Okay.
Good seeing you.
Okay, one more proclamation of residents' rights, and please come up and join us, and Commissioner Vigliotti.
Thank you, Commissioner Kyler.
Then we can have this retired. Slide him a note, slide him a note.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Proclamation Long-Term Care Residents' Rights Month, October 2023, Amplify Our Voices. Whereas 10 nursing homes and 30 assisted living facilities are licensed to operate in Carroll County, providing approximately 1,800 beds for short-term rehab and long-term care, and the Federal Nursing Home Reform Act of 1987 and the Code of Maryland Regulations guarantee residents their individual rights in order to promote and maintain their dignity and autonomy, and all residents should be aware of their rights so that they may be empowered to live with dignity and self-determination. And whereas we wish to honor citizens who live in long-term care communities, recognize their rich individuality, and reaffirm their rights, the theme of Residents' Rights Month 2023 is Amplify Our Voices. We encourage long-term care residents to be outspoken about their preferences and to share their own unique stories because residents' voices are the most important at the decision-making table. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October as Long-Term Care Residents' Rights Month in Carroll County. We urge every resident to take time this month to acknowledge long-term care residents and the people who care for them for their valuable contribution to our community. Adopted this 12th day of October 2023, signed to the entire Board of Carroll County Commissioners. Ladies, it's all yours.
Thank you. Celine?
I wanted to give the team a chance to be at the table. I thought 5 of us might be too many. But I just wanted to say that I think that our ombudsman team is such a strong team in our nursing homes and our long-term care facilities and assisted living facilities, and being that advocate to ensure that residents have their rights acknowledged and heard. In many cases, it's just making sure that maybe the team that's working with these individuals understands what the rights actually are and what that truly means. And it's usually just a conversation that our team helps facilitate between the residents, excuse me, and some of the folks they work with. And sometimes it's also family members working with them with their loved ones in the facility. And I know Gail will share more detail on that, but I think they do a phenomenal job, and it is very hard work. There are a lot of things that just have to be acknowledged and worked through in the care and in resident rights. And Gail ensures that not only do Gail and Mackenzie and her volunteer Pat and Gina as well with her administration of the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities, they do a fantastic job. And it really is just making sure that their rights, what their needs are heard from their perspective. So I will turn it over to Gina and the team to move forward and share a little bit more.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say, how much we recognize the hard work and dedication of Gail and Mackenzie and their volunteers. And Pat, I'm going to let you introduce her, but Pat is one of those volunteers. Through community education to the staff, and advocacy, continuous advocacy to ensure the rights of residents in those facilities are upheld. Many times residents don't understand that they have rights. They don't know what those rights are. They don't think they can speak up. And if they do know that they have rights, many times they're afraid of retaliation, which they have the right to be protected against as well. But again, thank you ladies all for your hard work, and I'm going to turn it over to Gail.
Well, thank you, Commissioners, for recognizing Resident Rights Month in October. Mackenzie and I and Patricia Settle, one of our volunteers, we have another volunteer, Valerie Wilbur, who couldn't be with us today, routinely visit all of the nursing homes and assisted livings in Carroll County to make residents aware of their rights and to ensure that they're getting good quality care and a good quality of life. And I especially want to recognize Pat this month because she came up with a wonderful idea of how we can help residents be aware of their rights and exercise their rights. And she came up with the idea of giving a resident a journal one day. It was a resident that was kind of feeling in the dumps, and she suggested, take this notebook and write down something you're grateful for. Think of something positive. And it created a mental shift for this resident in a positive direction. And she said, we ought to give a book like this to all the residents. And Mackenzie created a label on the book which gives our contact information for the Ombudsman Program and the Resident Rights Month logo. And we're distributing it to all the residents that we visit with this month, particularly during resident council meetings, to give them a tool to keep track of things that are important to them, things they want to tell us when we next visit, things we can fix, and things that are going well as well. So I wanted to give Pat an opportunity. Pat's been with us for 4 years. Coming up this winter. She goes to 3 different assisted living facilities among many volunteer opportunities that she does, and we're so grateful for her contribution.
Thank you. I think this is a great program. I heard about it through the Senior Center. Gail and at the time Tina Lender, who was her associate, came and talked to us, and I thought this is something that would be interesting. I was a caregiver for my husband when he passed away, and I thought I might be in a nursing home one day or an assisted living. I would want someone to help me if I had a problem. And I thought this is a pretty nice program. So I went through the training, and it's very intense training, and it is intense anyway when you go visit these people and you want to help people. and you want them to be happy with their life. I mean, this is their life now, and it's amazing how some are and some aren't. And you want to help the ones that aren't, and it's very difficult. But just to be there and be a friend and help them is, it's very rewarding for you personally. And I go visit these three at least every 4 to 6 weeks. And they get to be almost like an extended family to you, because you get to know them and you get to know their weaknesses. And it is good when they have a problem and you can call a council meeting like Gail does and talk to their family about their problems, their family, the assisted living manager, and kind of resolve their problems. So I just thought this book would be a good way, because some of the residents are afraid to speak. We've been in facilities where the residents know they do get retaliation very subtly, but they get it. So I'm figuring if we look at these books in November, we can kind of jot down some good points and some bad points and go to the manager without names. And maybe some things can be settled and maybe resolved, and it can be better for the residents.
Do you have any thoughts, Mackenzie?
Well, I just want to say that I'm very fortunate to work with this great group of women here. I was introduced to the Ombudsman program when I went to school at Frostburg State University through a social work program, and I had never heard of this program. It was very new to me, and I feel like a lot of people don't know about it until they're put into that situation where they have a loved one in a nursing home or assisted living facility. So I'm just very appreciative for the people that I work with, and we do a lot of good work, especially with Residents' Rights Month, getting out there during visiting with people one-on-one or resident council meetings and just informing people. I think it's education and learning about our program is also very big because, like I said, not a lot of people are aware of it. So, yeah.
Thank you, and I really like the comment about trying to help people that are happy or unhappy with their stage, and it's so tough. I've seen people who 30 was the end of the world because whatever, they couldn't race a motorcycle, and then 40 and then 50, and if you dwell on what you can't do anymore, you'll never be happy. You know, you got to be happy with the stage you're at. And I tell people when they talk about my gray hair, I don't know a better option than getting older, so I hope I keep getting older. So thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you very much indeed. God really does bless us with this thing that we call life, and whether you were in the womb or 8 years old or 88 years old, life matters. And we've seen a trend in this country recently. I guess we call it ageism now. This discrimination against those who are aged and even disabled, right? And it really is. It's surprising and it's sickening. And so I really cannot tell you how much I respect you for what you do and thank you for what you do. Because again, life at every stage matters. And if there's one thing that anybody who's watching this can take away today, what do you want them to know? What specifically, if you happen to live in one of these facilities, what do you want them to know more than anything else?
That you have the right to be treated with dignity and respect at all levels, from caregivers, other residents, and family as well. Absolutely.
That's a good point.
And that you have the right to state grievances without fear of retaliation, and that you have the right to autonomy and to make choices.
In a situation where there happens to be some kind of retaliation going on, what steps can we take to adjust that or to address that?
So often residents wish us to state their grievances anonymously because they're concerned about retaliation. So that's one way we can get a concern voiced and hopefully avoid retaliation. But if they feel they've been retaliated, every facility has a policy against retaliation, and sometimes it's a matter of re-educating the staff on what that policy is. And I think when that education happens and the focus is put on that this is not, appropriate behavior, that the matters get resolved. So yeah, it's a matter of bringing it to light. So when it happens, we need to call it out so that it doesn't happen again.
If you ever need any help from us, let us know.
Thank you.
Ready for a picture?
Yes, sure.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta take this off.
Pants. Oh, yeah. Because I haven't read ones in a while. Who's in the middle? Thank you all very much.
Okay, we've got one other very important,
Yes, a
Business.
retirement, Department of Public Works, Chuck England, and if y'all can come up to the table, and I think we're going to set a record for Priority Carol, but it's all been good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Very much so.
so it's going to be hard to do this gentleman's service to the county justice in just 5-10 minutes here on a Thursday morning. But I'm going to go ahead and read the certificate of recognition, but thanks a lot for being here. Charles England III, but I have a feeling you go by Chuck. Okay, so thanks for being here, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So like Commissioner Kyler mentioned, Mr. England is retiring, and I'm going to read the certificate of recognition in recognition of over 41 years. I want to say that again, 41 years of excellent service to the Carroll County government. You exemplified the highest standard, skillfully performing the duties of the positions held over these many years, from automotive equipment mechanic to foreman to fleet management. Your reliability demonstrated daily and during catastrophic weather events have made a difference to both your coworkers you supported with the equipment repairs so they could serve the residents directly. For your dedication to the Carroll County government, we wholeheartedly thank you and wish you a long and healthy retirement. So again, congratulations, truly congratulations. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
You have anything you'd like to add?
It's provided my family with good opportunities with the support of the commissioners. It's been a good place to work and work with a good staff. Reed's a good supervisor. Doug Brown, I've known Doug Brown a long time, and thank everybody.
Thank you.
Mr. England's obviously very modest, but he's been one of the greatest mentors to many mechanics over the years, myself included. He has a wealth of knowledge that he's never turned down to share with anyone, which is much appreciated, and he will certainly be missed.
Mr. Brown?
So I'll give you just one example this morning while we're sitting here waiting for Chuck to be recognized. We had something brought to our attention by one of you folks, and I said, Chuck, do you remember anything about this? He said, yeah, I think it's been years ago. I think it was a donation, something. That's walking out the door. Institutional knowledge that we won't get back. And for those of you who attended this morning, you heard Audubon say that, a lot of the things that are showing up are we're getting retirements, but we're not getting anybody else to come into those. Now, we're working every day, but Chuck has always been and will be a fantastic resource, a person to lean on, and you certainly can't go anywhere else to look for what's been our experience here and what's going on. So we wish him nothing but the best. I asked him this morning when he came in if he was ready. Reed countered by saying, I've tried to talk him out of it, but he would stay. So we will miss him, and we wish him the best.
And it is hard to find young employees and retain them, but good mentors make a big difference in retaining them.
Yes, sir.
So thank you.
Good leadership.
Thank you, Chuck. You're welcome.
Well said.
Yep.
Thank you. Can I get a picture?
Chuck, you can send. There we go.
We'll get this straight one day. Yeah. We've only been doing this for 9 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. God bless.
Thank you.
Judge Hecker, the good news is you're first on the list.
Yes, and
Bad news,
yes.
it's after the longest priority Carol in history.
That's right. We set a record, but it was good stuff.
I have any contempt powers here anyway.
Chris, while we're getting ready to do this, I think we have a caller. Do you know if it's for a specific item or general at the end?
I do not know, but I can find out if you give me just a second.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and start. So item 1, a grant for courthouse security. And you've already introduced Judge Hecker. And
Good morning.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Mr. Burke. I'd just like to share a little bit of information with you before I make my request of you. First, from a personnel standpoint, we have no vacancies currently in personnel, so I want to thank the Commissioners again for all that you did for us in terms of our requests over the past year. I have some information at my ready because we just filed our State of the Court report with the Administrative Office of the Courts. So let me share with you that, you probably know this, that Carroll County, according to the 2020 census, is the 9th most densely populated jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. But in terms of courts, the Circuit Court for Carroll County ranks 7th in terms of population per judge. It's about 43,200 persons per judge. We have 4 judges in Carroll County. So needless to say, we're busy. We have the highest percentage of criminal jury trial prayers relative to total cases filed for medium and large jurisdictions. So that's Carroll, Charles, Howard, Harford, Frederick, and Washington counties. We also have the highest number of criminal filings for those medium and large jurisdictions. I haven't drilled down into why that is. I suspect it's not because we have more crime in Carroll County. It probably is more attributable to law enforcement and the number of individuals being charged and prosecuted in Carroll County versus other jurisdictions. But just to give you an idea of the work that we do in the Circuit Court. The request that I make of you today is a request, it's not going to cost the county anything. We hope that it will be approved, but it's a request to submit to the Administrative Office of the Courts an application for a grant in the amount of $25,071.16. This will fund the acquisition of handheld radios for our bailiffs and all the equipment that goes along with that, as well as a emergency panic button to go in the wedding ceremony room. We currently don't have a uniform system of communication amongst our bailiffs. As you know, bailiffs provide security in the courthouse, as do the sheriff's deputies. The sheriff's deputies have a communication system which is uniform. The bailiffs do not. And so this is one of a series of efforts that we are undertaking to upgrade security in the courthouse as we speak. Facilities is supervising the installation of a new garage door at the annex building, which is a long time in the making, but we think that's going to be done today. And then a little later, either this year or next year, I'll come to you with a request about some upgrades we'd like to make in one of our judges' chambers to improve security there. But for purposes of today, this is a request that we be permitted to submit a grant to the Administrative Office of the Courts for $25,071.16. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Motion to approve the submission of the AY 2024 Courthouse Security Funding Request of $25,071.16 and accept the award.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any more questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Just a reminder, you should have received an invitation to the drug treatment court graduation on November 1st, 4:30 p.m. at the Carroll Community College, and thanks as always for allowing us to use that building.
Thanks, Judge
Okay.
Hecker.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for everything that you
very
do,
much.
Thank you
Judge.
for everything.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, our item 2, Community Development Block Grant Round 2.
Commissioner, can you give me just a minute so I can
Oh, okay.
actually find out who
Okay, yes.
the caller is? Thank you. Caller, if you could hit *6 to unmute, we can find out what item you're calling for, whether you're calling for general public comment or for an agenda item. That's *6 to unmute. Yes, caller.
This item.
Okay. Commissioner, would you like to go ahead and have public comment for this item, or would you like to wait?
Well, I guess, what would you prefer, caller? Do you want to hear the presentation first, or are you ready to do your public comment now?
I would like to wait.
Okay.
We'll come back to you. Can I get your name real quick first?
It's Mr. Matheny.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a public hearing to solicit some public comment on the fiscal year 24 Community Development Block Grant, Round 2 application for the recovery housing for women and children. On the 14th of September, you approved the development of the application to support the project, and a public hearing was advertised. This public hearing, in fact, was advertised in the Carroll County Times on October 6, 2023. With us today are Director Celine Steckel from Civil Services, Debbie Standiford, our Grants Manager, and Stephanie Haley, from Executive Director of the WRM. They have a short presentation to make, and then if you have any questions, they're available for that before we open up to the public.
As you're making the presentation, and we don't have adult supervision on either side today, if anybody in the audience wants to make public comment, do you mind taking the
No,
cards?
not at all.
So fill out a card in the back and give it to us up front if you want to speak when
They're
you're
the, the salmon colored cards in the back.
And we ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes each.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Hey, all right. Well, thank you for having us again, Commissioners. And as Mr. Burke said, we were here before you previously to open this up and speak to having a public hearing. One of the other pieces of the puzzle is Stephanie will share with us, she's actively searching for the best property, the most appropriate location that will really elicit the type of environment and surroundings that will support this recovery home. And so we will be back before you once that property is identified to host another public comment and a public hearing, because we want to make sure that the public has adequate time to provide input and make sure that they all feel comfortable with where we are with this process. So I'm going to turn it over to Debbie. There's some specific information.
Well, the comment you made, so the public knows it, and anybody commenting today, this is not site-specific. The next time will be site-specific, so they'll get every opportunity to comment once a site's identified.
Correct.
Yeah, the state changed the requirements a little bit for round 2 and are allowing us to apply without having a site identified. But we'll be back before you with that information. And for anyone listening, if they would like to see a draft of the application prior to our submission to the state, they can contact the Carroll County Grants Office at 225 North Center Street, Westminster, or phone 410-386-2212. We will have that draft available to them starting tomorrow through the 23rd of October for their review and comment. And I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
All right. Thank you. Good to see you all again. Thank you for your time.
Morning.
And good morning. And I would just like to say what we have before us is an opportunity to leverage, to bring resources into the county, to be able to support a need that we all know exists, and we have talked about that previously, to be able to support women who are in recovery and their children. And as both Celine and Debbie said, this funding would that would be made available is not for a specific site. We would find the site and then come back and give the public an opportunity. I will say that a part of our plan, as we've discussed before, is that we would make sure that all neighboring properties are made aware, both door to door with us leaving something on doorsteps, but also mailing, also putting, giving public notice and having this public hearing. And so we definitely want to take this opportunity. One of the things that to me is, I don't know if I would say better than last time, but what this opportunity affords us is more time to be able to build relationships and educate folks about what we would be doing, so that there aren't any, no one's misconstruing what would be happening on any particular site. So I thank you very much for considering our request.
Well, I'm very sorry that things didn't quite work out the first time. And I know that for obvious reasons you can't go into many specifics, but do you have like a handful of properties that you're looking at, or you have no idea about anything yet? You're still in a search?
So we have looked at properties, but because the timetable, I could identify a property today, and by the time, if we are awarded the funding, those properties would be gone. And so,
Gotcha.
Yes, we've been window shopping, I would say, but really haven't narrowed anything down to a specific site. We are looking for a rural property, so not something that would be in town, but something that would be out with lots of space and opportunity for those families.
Well,
And
thank you
awards
very
will
much.
be made, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Oh, no, I was going to say thank you for your diligence. And
Awards are going to be made pretty swiftly, so we should know mid-November whether we're awarded, and then we can move forward with identifying a property. Last time, we had 4 weeks to do it all. Now we'll have much more time to look. We have to complete the project within 18 months, so we have plenty of time to find the right property this time.
The state made a good change.
The state did make, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Well, I was going to ask a question, but you actually just answered it regarding the window of time in which to acquire property. I think it's a good, legitimate amount of time, and obviously, to your point a minute ago, given the challenges of real estate right now, you could have found something that would be gone just as quick with what's going on in many areas, but definitely Carroll County. So I think it's great they made that modification.
Exactly.
Public comment.
Yes, why don't we take the caller since she's been...
Okay. Chris, can you go ahead and do the caller?
Yes, caller, could you begin? We're going to have 3 minutes. If you just identify yourself and give us the general area you're calling from, and you may begin.
Westminster, Maryland, and I heard and they answered most of it with the time frame and that the address would actually be listed this time. And when the application is submitted, will the commissioners review it and make sure that the neighboring properties were contacted on their part?
Yes. Yeah, they
Okay.
They want it to be very transparent.
Okay, that was just a concern, is that the application was submitted again and that it wasn't actually verified this time, so. I was just making sure that all parts are, So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our first speaker is
Next
Kathy
caller.
Baker.
Hi, Commissioners. I come before you in support of this application, as well as the Carroll County Local Behavioral Health Authority from the Health Department. We've been sitting on an enormous amount of money for the last 2 years for this project. We RFP'd this out twice. Stephanie contacted us after the first application, and we've had conversations with her about moving forward. So it was offered to many other providers in the community. So the Addiction Healing Center is the first one to come forward. There is startup funding as well to support that, as well as bed funding for the residents that are in this program. We right now are sending women with children outside of our county for services. And it just, it's so much better if people can recover in their own community with family support and build their networks here. So that's my comments. Any questions?
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Yvonne Zemensky.
Good morning. I didn't expect to speak, but since the October 24th meeting is closed, I decided to come to today. I'm writing a letter in response to the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, open session September 28th, 2023, regarding a public hearing about the drug treatment facilities. I did send a letter to all the commissioners on October 3rd of this year, and I heard back only from Commissioners Vigliotti and Guerin, yet not our own commissioner in our district. I live on David Avenue in the Fairfield community of Westminster. I am a homeowner living here for the past 35 years. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I am writing about the Drug Substance Abuse Recovery Center group homes, referred going forward as drug recovery centers, that have been allowed to be established in our neighborhood due to federal and state laws that have simply and quite frankly have been established and work adversely for homeowners such as myself and many of our neighbors. The state law specifically states that small group homes which have 8 or less beds are permitted to be in all residential zones and may not be subject to any special regulations or zoning ordinances enacted by the local government. That was specifically from a letter I received from an attorney for the county. We have a lovely neighborhood, well-established homes, most owned by the people who live in them, many middle-aged to elderly. We take care of our homes the best we can. There are currently 4 of these drug recovery centers in our neighborhood, and of the 4, there are 2 on my street, and one is just 3 doors down from my home. And never in a million years would I think this dynamic would occur in our neighborhood. Because of this, our elderly homeowners are becoming afraid and worried of increased crime, putting their homes up for sale while young families are moving away. We hold our breath with each home purchased that the new owners will be a family and not another drug recovery center, as we do not have the protection of an HOA. We rely on our lawmakers to have common sense and pass common sense laws to protect us, yet provide the care that drug users need for rehabilitation. We do not want them to have that care. Imagine if you had 4 drug recovery centers on your street in your neighborhood. How would you feel about it? How does this happen? Many of us are devastated still. When we brought this to the county commissioner's attention last year, I wrote to all the commissioners then and only heard back from Roberta Wyndham Esquire and then Commissioner Eric Boucher, who initially wrote to me, "Thanks for the email expressing your concerns, Commissioner, to me." Sorry. I did my, thank you for your email expressing your concerns. Commissioner Frazier is your representative, and you should show up at all the hearings to share your concerns. I did my homework. I knew which commissioner represented our area, and I went to all the hearings, but in my reply, I told him, with all due respect, our neighborhood is just the beginning of the zoning problem. I then went on to explain it will become a county-wide problem if not addressed wholeheartedly by the commissioners. And now you have the Buckhorn Road of Sykesville residents deeply concerned of the change of dynamics of their lovely neighborhood. And after watching the recording of the public hearing on September 28, 2023, I understand their fear, their anger, their resentment. They will feel the need to install cameras and better outside lighting, such as we have, expenses they may never had considered before, such as a lawyer to represent them. There will be more street traffic in this quiet neighborhood.
Please finish your thoughts.
Yes, sir. So a couple of things. Have you looked into limiting the density of these drug recovery centers in residential neighborhoods, such as one of 250 houses or whatever deems reasonable? Have you looked at the buyers of these homes? They were purchased by a Pennsylvania business, Be Elite Properties. It concerns me that they are posing as a homeowner planning to live there when in fact they have a different agenda, and that would be a straw buyer. Has anyone looked at the water usage? Are we not in a drought situation where our homes on average have small families of 2 to 4, maybe 5 at the most, people of 2 adults, 2 to 3 children? These have eight adults in each one, so that's 32 adults using water.
Please.
And I'm finishing, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Before I close my letter, I would appreciate being notified of more public hearings about this topic. I leave you with a lot of questions to consider and look for answers. Taking action to limit this adverse law to homeowners that is just deteriorating the heart of our lovely community would give us all hope and mainly resolution. Thank you for the extra time.
Thank you. Anyone else? And I don't know if the other commissioners agree with me. I'd like to make one clarification. I was elected by Manchester, Hampstead, and Finksburg. I work for every taxpayer in Carroll County.
Thank you.
And another question that I thought of before, and I could ask it the next time, but what I'd like to ask it now. With Westminster's rescue mission and with this proposed facility, and I know you probably can't control it, but what percentage are local residents as opposed to out of state or out of county? Do you have a feel?
Of who would be living in this property?
Yes.
What I would anticipate is that it would be, the majority of folks would be here from Carroll County. And as Ms. Baker from the Department of Health shared, right now, there aren't places for these women and children to go, so we're sending them out. So this would keep them here. We anticipate that it would be Carroll County residents that would be living there.
Okay, thank you.
Can you briefly remind us the sorts of reasons that these women would be going to these centers?
Sure. So these are women who are in recovery, who are starting recovery, who don't have places to live, and who don't have places oftentimes that are conducive to recovery. And typically, if a woman needs to be in a treatment center or needs to, work on recovery, and whether it's an IOP program or outpatient or inpatient, they have to leave their children. And so women aren't choosing to leave their children to get sober or to get clean. And so this removes that choice, so that women are able to stay with their children while seeking treatment, seeking recovery, and having a safe environment in which to live.
How long, either at the current rescue mission or at this proposed facility, how long do people typically stay?
So it varies. So at our rescue mission on Luckaball Mill Road, we have different programs, one of which is a long-term residential program, which goes up to 9 months. And the other are transitional houses. And for those folks, they can stay in those for up to 18 months. Oftentimes, people will come into a long-term program and then move into a transitional house. So sometimes they're there for a longer period of time. For this location, it's not necessarily a treatment center. It's residential living. But we would anticipate folks would be here for 18 months, 2 years. It would be a significant period of time while their lives are becoming more stabilized, while they're getting treatment in our outpatient facility or other outpatient facilities. So it's not kind of in and out. And we, I'll say, we are committed to closely managing our houses and to having a house manager on site, et cetera, and not to packing people in, but to giving space, thus giving space for people to recover safely.
Just for clarification purposes, when you mention have a house manager on site, is that someone that's going to be living on site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not getting into the specifics this morning of that topic too deeply, but I know there are other entities where they have a house manager that is not there on a consistent basis.
Correct. So for us,
For you,
in
that'll be
any
someone
house,
that'll
we
be
have
living there
someone
on
who's
site.
living there on the
Okay.
property.
I appreciate that.
And I think also to note that, I don't think we mentioned today, but this facility is projected to host 3 to 4 women and their children annually. It's not a large 8-room facility in that way.
Motion to approve the submission of the FY24 CDBG Recovery Housing Round 2 application and accept the award.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I think you have to say aye too.
Aye. Yes, I thought it did.
Celine has a question.
We also need to close the public hearing. We can either offer that today, or we can leave it open for 10 days.
Unless you have any reason to, is there any reason under law to keep it open for 10 days?
It's the commissioner's decision. And I also think that because we'll be coming back for another public hearing that we'll be opening, once we have a property identified, I would recommend that we look to close it today.
So we need another motion?
Yes, just for clarification.
So you're not in favor of keeping the record open for 10 more days?
No.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt, right? I mean,
It wouldn't hurt. We could.
Does it
It's
delay
your
you
discretion.
and what
It
you?
doesn't, and we have plenty of time. Sometimes we ask that it closes early because of the deadlines, but we have time.
You're okay?
It's not due until after the 10-day mark, so we can certainly keep it open for additional public comment, and then we include all of that in the application to the state. That's part of our application.
And
is
you
all the
did
public
mention
comment.
that they have the opportunity.
They can
to-
request the application that we're submitting, the draft application, yes, and we share all that with the state.
motion to close the public hearing and leave the record open for 10 days.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, you got it now?
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Thank
much.
you very
Thank you for the
much.
public comment.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
I think I gotta start calling you Mr. Vice President.
Item 3, transfer of funds. Approve of resolution C24.01 for Farm Museum Maintenance Center.
Morning, Ted.
Good morning.
Morning.
So you already heard all about this project and what happened and where we're going. I'm only here now to carry out the transfer that's needed to do what you said you wanted to do. So this would move money from a capital project we call Public Works Unallocated. This is basically a reserve for things like this, where we need to find in the middle of the year some funding.
Motion to approve Resolution C.24-01 for transfer of funds for the Farm Museum Maintenance Center.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 4, contract award construction services for Carroll County Farm Museum.
It's still morning for a couple more minutes, so I can say good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners, the county requested detailed proposals to provide construction services for the interior fit-out of the maintenance building at the Carroll County Farm Museum. The interior fit-out is for the newly constructed 5,400 square foot pole barn, which replaced the previous maintenance building that was destroyed in a fire in March of 2021. Construction of the interior space will include a maintenance shop, restoration room, tool and supply room, office space, break room, women and men restrooms, shower facilities, and mechanical room and freezer space. The Office of Procurement received 8 proposals for the project. An evaluation committee was formed to conduct a technical and financial review of the proposals submitted. The committee evaluated all proposals based on criteria detailed in the proposal. The highest ranked firm for this project is Jeffrey Brown Contracting, LLC. The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Bureau of Building and Construction, requests your approval to award a contract to Jeffrey Brown Contracting, LLC, in the amount of $937,016. This amount is within the adopted budget.
Do you feel it was competitive bids and a good list of bidders?
Yes, Commissioner. We had, a total of 8?
We had 8 that we received. And I do feel that we had, a good selection, a good pool to pull from. And again, the evaluation committee went through all of them thoroughly with the technicals and felt, that Jeffrey Brown they did make some comments saying that they have had various projects that they have done in the past that were renovation. They listed all of the information in their technicals and seemed very pleased with the work they had done and rated them the highest.
Good.
Overall.
Motion to award the contract for construction services for the Carroll County Farm Museum Maintenance Building fit out to Jeffrey Brown Contracting, LLC, in the amount of $937,016.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you
you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're still mourning, too, I tell you.
Yep.
Item 5, contract award, Carroll County Public Network Maintenance Contract.
That's okay. You want me to stay?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Still more. Good morning. Still got like seconds left. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The reason I'm here today is that the Department of Technology Services is requesting concurrence and signature authority for the completion of the Carroll County fiber builds that were approved during the FRF funding process. The total cost was $2,472,000 and $428. If approved, this will be an addendum to the Skyline contract, who was the company that was awarded our fiber builds back in November of last year. All work must be completed by September 30th of 2026. We've listed the sites there. This is the amount. This was all approved under FRF funding. This is now just to officially give me the signature authority to start signing off on the bills as they come in.
So basically, the money's there, and you just need the permission to begin spending it.
To be able to sign, yes, sir.
Awesome.
And this fiber is specific for fire companies, not for residents, not for...
Right, it's to the sites that are listed here on the thing. Yes, right now, both Harney and Lineborough are wireless connections, and we're using the FRF funding for those two big sites to get them connected with wire, and then you see we have the other locations as well, so.
Awesome. Motion to authorize Technology Services to spend up to $2,472,428 to complete the listed county fiber locations.
Second.
Any more discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
very much. Have a good afternoon. Yeah.
Chris, do we have any more public comment?
No, sir.
Okay, closed minutes from October 5th, land acquisitions. We need a motion and second and a vote to accept them.
Motion to approve minutes as presented.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And does anybody have anything else they want for administrative session?
No, sir.
No, I have nothing.
Okay. We're ready to do our...
What about you, Mr. Vice
We're ready
President?
to look at, just as we're in the afternoon, we're ready to look at our future, right?
What about you, Mr. Vice President? Anything for open admin?
Ready? On Monday, October 16th, Carroll Community College Foundation Scholarship Luncheon, Commissioners Gordon and Kyler. Greater Baltimore Committee, Commissioner Ruttlestein. On Tuesday, Commissioner Guerin, Chamber of Commerce breakfast, Commissioners Guerin, Kyler, and Rothstein. 9 a.m. Planning and Zoning Commission, Commissioner Gordon. Veterans Advisory Meeting, Commissioner Gordon and Kyler. Ag Center Board Meeting, Commissioner Rothstein. The Credit Rating Agency's trip to New York City, Commissioners Kyler and Rothstein. Macon Interim Legislative Committee Meeting, Commission Kyler and Rothstein, and we're able to do that virtual and still meet the other schedule. 5 p.m. Community College Board of Trustees meeting, Commissioner Vigliotti. And they typically hand carry documents here, and if not, Vivian will have to print what we got. We got the email, but we didn't get the hard documents that I've seen yet.
I'll try to grow a mustache by then to fill in appropriately for it.
Yeah. Wear a tie, please.
I'll do my best to dress up.
Emergency Service Advisory Council, Commissioner Guerin. Thursday, still credit rating trip. Carroll County Department of Social Services open house at Tech Court, and we show no one attending. Friday, credit rating and return. Saturday, City of Westminster Clock Tower dedication, Commissioner Kyler.
Wanda, you can add me to that as well for the clock tower.
7 p.m., Fort Meade Alliance Foundation Stars in Service Gala, Commissioner Rothstein. The State Grange Awards Banquet shows no one attending. And Sunday, Commissioner Vigliotti has the podcast. You've probably got it written, right?
I got to start working on that this weekend. I'm running out of time.
The 24th anniversary Stone Chapel United Methodist Church, Commissioners Guerin, Kyler, and Vigliotti. Anything changed for that week at? Okay, the second week. Tuesday, October 24th, speak on it, act on it, Commissioner Kyler. I don't know if anyone else has been asked. One of the things I've requested, I haven't seen an agenda or anything on what the event is, and so I've requested that. I'd really like to know that before I obligate to be there. And I've been assured I'll have it. So I didn't know if anybody else was thinking about it, but if I get anything, I'll share it. On Wednesday, Economic Development Association Fall Conference, Commissioners Kyler and Rothstein. Veterans Services Program, Commissioner Gordon. Auto Farm Ambulance Sales Grand Opening, Commissioner Gordon. Thursday, the 8 a.m. admin meeting, and then 9 a.m. open. Item 1, public comment, is on all the items individually, or people can, as they have in the past, call in to do public comment on any topic at the end. So the first item, I'm not sure what it is. You guys know?
Oh, that's Youth Service Bureau.
Okay, so Youth Service Bureau.
They're coming in, they're new executive director.
Okay.
So Lynn Davis is the current executive director. She's going to be retiring, and Sam Bauman, who I've already met, is going to be their incoming, he's actually their incoming director now.
Okay. So that's the topic.
Yes.
Item 2, transfer of funds, self-help project requests. Item 3, stormwater management maintenance term contracts for stormwater management facilities. Item 4, bid approval and award for a housing study. Item 5, approval to extend, renew payment in lieu of taxes agreement for Westminster Bond Senior Apartments. Item 6, propose amendments to the local management board bylaws. Item 7, solid waste facilities, environmental monitoring services. Item 8, approval to purchase two vehicles. Item 9, approval to purchase a vehicle. Item 10, approval to purchase computers for Emergency Operations Center. Item 11, transfer of funds for a grant acceptance mobile stage for Carroll County Farm Museum. Item 12, approval to purchase the mobile stage for Carroll County Farm Museum. Item 13, grant fund acceptance, Urban Area Security Initiative, State Homeland Security Grant Program, Emergency Management Performance Grant. 1 p.m., ESAC joint meeting, and it looks like all 5 of us will be attending. Friday, Fort Meade Alliance Key Leader Series, Commissioner Rothstein. Saturday shows empty, and Commissioner Kyler has the podcast that week.
I guess we should let Commissioner Kyler know.
Yes. I don't know if he's written anything yet or not. Does anybody have any additions, changes?
No, sir.
No, I'm good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you, Wanda.
So now, unless there's any more comment, I need a motion to adjourn.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.